I'm so excited to be sharing these cottage garden DIY decor ideas using Dollar Tree items and more. I want to welcome you all to CreArtive by Nature DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. So for this first project, I'm using a 3D galvanized butterfly from Dollar Tree, and then I'm also using this wood panel canvas board from Dollarama. You can get these at Michael's and at Amazon. I've got an Amazon affiliate store linked down below for you to check it out. I am going to stain this piece using a gel stain from DecoArt, and it is in the color Walnut. I'm applying this using a rag. If you don't want to use stain, you could definitely paint this instead, or you can leave it as is, but I'm really loving this walnut stain from DecoArt. So to get in all those little tight little spots, I like to use a stiff bristle brush, and I just apply it and then wipe it off with a rag, and you can see how well that works. So once you've got your piece covered and it's all nice and dry, the next step is to fill in the background. Now I am using this leaf green craft paint. I didn't want the natural wood grain color to show through. If you want it to, by all means, feel free to do so. You can also cover the background using some scrapbook paper, or some fabric would be really pretty too. So I've set the frame aside and I'm allowing that to dry, and now I'm going to work on the butterfly. As you can see, I'm removing the hanger. We're not going to need that for this project today. And then I am going to color that inside of the butterfly with the leaf green paint again. I didn't want the shiny metal to be showing through my next step, but if you want to just leave it as is, by all means feel free to do so. I just didn't want the silver color to be showing through. So I fill that all in with the craft paint, and then I'll allow it to dry. An alternative would be to use some chalk paint. All right, both our pieces are dry. Now I need to attach this butterfly to the inside of our frame, but I'm going to be taking a pencil and just tracing around it, as I'm going to be using two types of glue, E6000 and a hot glue gun. Now I'm doing it like this because I find that hot glue solidifies really quickly on tin. So I wanted to apply the glue on the wood portion instead. So I'm just going to add little dollops of the E6000 here and there. Of course, if you have another glue that you prefer to use, by all means use that one. And now I'm going in and filling in with some hot glue. So now I'm going to press the butterfly, the backside of it, into the glue firmly. And you do have a little bit of time to move it if you made a little mistake like I did. And then I like to always flip it over and apply some weight, and then allow the glues to set up. So it's all nice and dry and ready to go. Now I'm going to fill in around the butterfly with some preserved reindeer moss. Now I picked this up at my local dollar store, but you can get this at Dollar Tree and other craft stores as well. I'm applying it using some hot glue, but again, just use your favorite adhesive. This package has assorted colors in green, so I thought that was really pretty. I love using reindeer moss so much. It's just so pretty, and it's really soft look. Now, if you covered your backside using some scrapbook paper or fabric, you can omit this step. All right, so this is a really handy trick that I learned from Holly over at Hot Humble Pie. She uses silicone makeup applicator with her hot glue. So as you can see, it works really well for me to add some hot glue to the moss and then press it into those tight little spaces. Those little finger silicone protectors, they don't fit my fingers. So when I saw Holly use this, I'm like, oh, I have to get one of those. I tried it out and I loved using it. It works out really well. I used to use my scissors, and my scissors got all gummed up, but the glue peels off of this silicone applicator really well. So thanks for the tip, Holly. I'll leave the link to that video down below. All right. So now I am going to be using these Dollar Tree florals. This is a greenery pack that they always have, and they just come out with some different styles from year to year. They are beautiful. They are my favorite florals. I also have these beautiful blossoms in my stash and these cherry blossoms. I am going to be filling in the inside of our butterfly using all these items. I'm starting off with greenery and again using some hot glue and pressing this into place, and I'll use the applicator when necessary. So I'm going to continue to fill the background with an assortment of the greenery. So if you use scrapbook paper or fabric on the backside, you could definitely fill the butterfly with the moss instead. There's lots of different ways to recreate this piece. I'm just loving this gardeny look that we are creating so far. So now I'm going to start to add my florals. I'm just cutting them down using some wire snips, or you could use some scissors. And I'm just going to tuck these little flowers here in between the leaves. And I have these really pretty little yellow ones. And I think these kind of look a bit like wildflowers that you'd see in a garden. And now I'm adding some cherry blossoms. So if you buy a bundle of the white cherry blossoms, you can change up the color of these by painting them. I've done that before. I'm gonna have that video linked for you down in my description box as well, so you can see how to do that. Next, I am adding these cute little peach flowers. I bought these ones a few years ago. I'm not sure if Dollar Tree has them anymore or not. You'll have to check your local store. And it's all ready to be put on display. Isn't this just so pretty? It definitely has that cottage garden look I was going for. This next project is using this beautiful cactus sign with the tin little plate that I had in my stash. I had two styles. I really like the adventure one, so I decided I wanted to do up this one that says plant a garden and watch it grow. And this is a really easy project. So I'm going to be using my leaf green paint again, and I'm going to cover up those little cactus. I end up painting the back side of this piece as well. And I give this 2 coats of the craft paint and allow it to dry well. So the paint is all nice and dry, and I didn't worry about it if it was a little bit blotchy, as we are going to be covering up this piece as well. So just like the butterfly, I am going to be covering over the green paint with some leaves to start off with. Again, using that really cool little makeup applicator. Loving this tool so much. And you're just going to want to place the greenery here and there until you get a look that you like. Again, you can cover the background of this with fabric, scrapbook paper, or even some moss, but I really wanted to go for that cottage garden look. So I think these leaves are working out so well. I'm going to continue to fill in with the greenery. I really like these fern stems. I have to say Dollar Tree did a great job on these greenery stems. They sell out so quickly, so as soon as you see them in your store, grab them. So now I'm going to start adding my florals. These were some little lavender stems, and I usually work in groups of 3, but this time I just kind of made it really wild looking, so I didn't really go for specific numbers. I just added stuff until I got the look that I like. So I have my little purple flowers in there, and now I'm gonna add these white cherry blossoms. But as you can see in my stash here, I also have some pink cherry blossoms. I did pick those ones up at Dollar Tree. I believe it was last year. I have seen them there again this year, so you'll have to again check out your local store. So continue to add as many flowers as you like, and then it's ready to be put on display. Isn't this so pretty? I love this cottage garden look. I think it's just gorgeous, and it was such an easy project to make. Okay, so I don't know if Dollar Tree has these anymore, but I picked this up at my Dollar Tree last year, and it is the galvanized wall vase. You could also use a cake pan as a substitution. I would just glue a piece of flower foam directly to the pan. Just think outside the box with this project, but I'm going to be using up my stash, so that's why I'm digging this piece out. So if you got a stash of these, haul them out and let's get crafting. I wanted to cover the front panel, and I recently found these wood grain rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, and I really like this whitewash one. I felt like it would just keep everything nice and light. So I just trimmed off the edge because I want a perfect fit. So I'm just gonna tape this into place, and then I will be flipping this over, and I'm going to trace around the backing using a pencil. As an alternative, Dollar Tree has some beautiful vinyl right now. You could cover the front panel with some of that, or you could use fabric, anything that you would like. Scrapbook paper would be really pretty as well. So I'm just going to be removing the tape, and then I'm going to trim off the excess. Now I will have a little spot that still needs to be filled in, so I just kind of work around it and I get that all perfectly fit. So I just pull the backing off, and then I carefully attach this to the front panel. So of course I'll be getting a craft stick, and I'll be burnishing the surface to get the transfer to stick to the galvanized metal. Again, Dollar Tree has been coming out with some beautiful patterns with these rub-on transfers, so I would definitely go and check out to see what you can find, but you can also find these online or at craft stores. I have seen them in my local dollar store as well. Not exact patterns, but something similar. So I'm just going to continue to piece this together until I got that front panel all covered up. So as you can see, I have the odd spot that didn't adhere. So I'm just taking a little bit of a scrap piece, and I'm going to press it onto those little spots that are blank or missing the transfer, and you can see how well that worked. I decided to cover this with a coat of some clear Mod Podge sealant, and it's in the mat, and that will just prevent this from getting all scratched up. All right, so now I am going to cut down a piece of a dry floral foam that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I'm just making sure that I have a piece that fits inside, and then I'm just going to pull it out just like this and apply some hot glue and then press it down into place. I just lifted up the lid or the lip of the metal there, and then I was able to get that right down inside. I'm just going to cut down a few scrap pieces and then put those on the side of our big chunk, again applying it with some hot glue. So you can see how nicely I've got that all fit in there. All right, I was really excited to find this next item, and that is some green colored Spanish moss. Now I found this in my Canadian Dollar Tree. It's put out by Multicraft, so I don't know if the American stores have this or not, but the Canadian stores do, so go check those out. But you could also use the gray Spanish moss as well. I just took some and I'm just going to be covering up our foam. I'll be attaching the moss just with a bit of hot glue. An alternative would be to create some wire pins and just pressing that into foam, and that'll help anchor the moss into place as well. But I just found it easier to use some hot glue. So I'm just going to push the moss into place, and then I am going to get out all of those beautiful florals that I had picked up from Dollar Tree. I'm using the same florals for all 3 pieces, but feel free to mix yours up if you'd like. Again, I always start my floral arrangements with greens. It's just how I was trained to do it. I used to be a florist, so it works for me, but by all means, I would love for you to recreate this any way that works best for you. So I'm just going to trim the pieces down and stick the wires or glue these pieces into place. As you can see, all these pieces have been reused over and over again, so I don't usually glue mine into place, but please feel free to do so. I do end up gluing some of them in, but these pieces I don't bother because my stems are long enough and it's not going to get bumped around, so I was okay not using glue on these particular pieces. As you can see, I'm bending some of the stems so they overhang on the edge. I really like that look, but you don't have to do that. An alternative would be to put a really cute little saying on the front. I thought that would be really neat as well. So I've filled this right up with the greenery, as you can see, and now I'm going to add my flowers. So I am trimming down some of these longer ones, and again I'm going to just bend the stems so they overhang with my greenery. These particular ones work really well for that because they are a nice long stem. Some of the blossoms were missing because I was pulling them off for other projects, so I'm just going in and adding some of those back on. So I'm just going to continue to add some of these florals until I get that beautiful garden look that I'm going for. So there was something really cool about these cherry blossoms. I noticed that there was like a little bit of a little twisty branch that was on them. I thought that was really pretty. Oh, and that reminds me, if you want, you could actually add some real branches to this as well. I typically do that, but for these projects, I decided not to because I really wanted that cottage garden look, and I thought this made it perfect for that. I find that the twigs, I love them, I really do, but they really create more of a rustic look. So once you have the flowers in place, it's ready to be hung on the wall. I think this is gorgeous. Again, it's a beautiful cottage garden look. So as always, I would absolutely love to know which one is your favorite. And to the right, there is a playlist full of some more nature and garden inspired DIYs. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.